We lost 3 pounds this week, friends. 3 pounds. And I had absolutely 0 instances of binge eating. Now, that has been my biggest struggle over the last couple of months. Binge eating is the one thing that has been insanely difficult and present in the last couple of months of my journey. And honestly, any little thing has been triggering it. I can't even tell you how many times on the very first day back to, living a healthier lifestyle, I wanted to stop at McDonald's or something and just eat my feelings because I didn't have a super amazing week. But I tried not to let that be a crutch for me or an excuse for me. So I did overcome those feelings. Now, yesterday I needed a little bit of external support from my boyfriend. I felt really bingy, and I told my boyfriend that I was like, look, Colton, I feel like I could just go off the rails again. I feel like I could be right back to where I was a couple of days ago. So I told him, I was like, please don't let me get any Ben & Jerry's. Please don't let me get any X, Y, and Z's. And lo and behold, while we're at the store, me and my little self runs off and just goes straight to the Ben & Jerry's to the half and half, and not the half and half, the half baked. As I have like my keto foods for the week in the grocery cart. I know that I feel my best, and I do my best when I'm in ketosis. So some of the struggles that I had, I went over in the last video, but I think the ones that had the potential to be catastrophic to me this week were the emotional eating, not grocery shopping. I did not do great about that again. And eating out, just because we had family in town and we did go out to dinner a few times. But I told myself, okay, so here was my rule for myself this week, because we did go out to eat a little bit more, and it was foods that I wanted to eat, but I also didn't want to overindulge in and feel guilty afterwards. So let's talk about that a second. So a lot of the times when we go out to eat or do things with other people, I just tell myself, if I am really focusing on my health, I tell myself that I am just going to stick with the low carb foods for myself. Now, most of the time, almost all of the time, that is fantastic and works really, really well for me. And it also helps me to practice more self-control as well, being able to say no to foods instead of overindulging on them. Because again, I really struggle with that on-off button. It's either completely flipped on and I'm binging, or it's completely flipped off. So I'm trying to find that middle neutral ground with food. For example, we went to a sushi restaurant. Now, sushi is not a low carb food. It does really inflame me. I do not feel great when I eat sushi. However, I really love sushi. So I told myself going into this, I was like, you obviously are going to eat sushi because you really enjoy sushi and you don't get it very often, just in general. So I went in with the mindset of just don't overdo it. And having those conversations in my head this week, thinking about being more mindful of allowing myself to put myself in situations where the potential for binging is there. And I have been afraid of that for a while, of putting myself in situations where I might overdo it and trigger myself for the next day, 2 days, week, month, because it is a huge trigger, just eating foods. It sounds insane. Like, am I making sense to people who don't have issues with binge eating? Because I feel like I sound like a crazy person. Like, I can't eat that, or I'm going to stuff my face for the next week. Like, that just sounds like madness. But honestly, that's exactly what happens when I eat something that I'm eating for my brain and not my body. My brain just takes off with it. But just having those conversations with myself during the meals and before the meals, and just kind of checking in with myself, because there were a few points where I'm like, okay, I feel myself going overboard. Just like I said last night, I hadn't even eaten anything that was carby or desserty or addictive. I had eaten really well all day, but I felt myself getting into my emotions and getting into kind of this panic mode. And then my brain wanted this. And then my emotions were like, okay, we obviously have to have that because you want that. And we're obviously freaking out about something. So that's going to help us calm down. And that's why I had that conversation with Colton. And I was like, listen, I am fine with having this food, but I am not fine with it triggering me into going off into binging for the next 6 months and gaining 30 pounds back. That is something that really worked for me this week. And I don't expect to have those conversations with myself as much this week because we don't plan on going out to eat anywhere this week. But just knowing that I am in control in those situations was a pretty beautiful thing that happened to me this week that I didn't really expect, especially coming off of at least 1 month of just straight eating whatever the heck I wanted to and binge eating. So yeah, that is what helped me this week with my binge eating, emotional eating, and eating out process. So if you are somebody who struggles with any of those things, I mean, maybe try some of it. There have been many different seasons of my recovery with my emotional eating / binge eating, because I did just recently, like within the last year, find out that I'm an emotional binge eater. I just thought that I ate like a normal American when I really don't. I eat everything. So there have been many different phases of me dealing with my emotional eating, and a lot of those have been just suppressing it, when in reality, I have to address the fact that I do have this, and I need to feel that emotion, and I need to listen to those emotions and figure out how to process those emotions. So that is going to be something that I'm also working on, as well as literally everything else. Nice short update this week. I am not going to change any of my goals. I'm going to keep focusing on the exact same things. And week 1 was a success. Let me know how you did on week 1 in the comments. Thanksgiving is coming up very, very soon, and I am ready with all the substitutes, you guys. I am absolutely ready with all the substitutes. I'm actually craving a few of the substitutes I made last year, like my stuffing. I will link that above because that stuffing was phenomenal, as well as what was the other thing I made? My recipe with the crumble on the top of it. I've really been wanting that too, so I'm going to make those 2 things again this year, just because I do really want to stick to my more low-carb keto lifestyle. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for joining me. And let's keep going with the accountability and motivation this month because we all need it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one.